Season 1 of Off the Dribble, the Byron Scott Podcast, is brought to you by Neff Vodka.
Well, hello there. It's just me and the world's best tasting vodka.
What's up, guys? This is Off the Dribble with your boy Byron Scott. I am here with another special guest. This guy right here is like a brother to me, a little brother. And we spent a lot of time together his rookie year because he was always at my house eating up all my food. And I used to try to lock him out, and that didn't work. But he is one of the members of the Showtime era. He has 3 championship rings. He holds the record for most consecutive games played in NBA history, 1,192. He is known as the Ironman, and we're going to get into some of the things that almost derailed him in that streak. But I want to introduce you guys to my main man, my brother, AC Green. Junior, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Off the Dribble, Byron Scott. I like this.
You like that?
I like this.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's a very catchy, catchy sound. My man Cody came up with it. First try, too, Junior. I heard I was like, man, I like that.
That's what I'm saying. But I sort of actually I thought you was going to have your mask on, man, because I want to look at you like this.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you got yours on because I didn't want to look at you with it off. So we kind of even. Now I'm going to put mine on then.
Hey, come on, man. Come on.
Junior, I like to see you like this because your mouth ain't moving. But see, it's even better to see you that way. But you know what? Whatever you want to do, Junior, I'm good.
But you got your 2-half mask. That's what I like because you got half of this covered, then you got that, and then now your whole face is gone.
You know what? This is my show where you kind of leave me alone. All right, I get to ask the questions and make all the insults.
No, that wasn't an insult. That was a compliment.
That was a compliment. Damn, I don't want no more compliments from you. So, Junior, I mean, 3-time champion. We won 3 me and you, we were on 2 championship teams together, the back-to-back 87, 88.
Yep.
Then you won another one with the Shaq and Kobe era, in 2000. And like I said, in between that time, you went from November 19th, 1986 to April 18th, 2001, and you only missed 3 games in that 15-year span. I almost find that impossible. As hard as we played and many games that we played, practices that we had, how are you able to achieve that goal?
Come on. The great thing is you're asking the question, and you lived it. Okay,
yeah,
so that's why you understand and you know obviously what goes into it just from A to Z, practice, the mental, the physical, the spiritual, every element, and so all those play a part, in all honesty, they really do. And so for some of you listeners out there, it's one of those things, what we really are talking about is that from the physical standpoint, you got to do what you can do. You got to play your part.
Right.
So you got to get in that gym. You got to get in that weight room. You got to bust your behind. You got to, have your guys holding you accountable to go to the weight room and get your repetitions in when you don't feel like it, and the off days, off season. And so you got to do those things. And then the game itself is one that just, as you know, it comes so fast.
Right.
And so once you get your routine, you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm in it, And then just the spiritual aspect, honestly, is like, it's all those things that are out of your control.
Right.
Okay. And that's where that really came in and comes in for someone. And I think for those, 99.8% of the games in my career that I did play in, as the record books show, that had a big part in it, man, because a lot of those things, man, you always airborne.
Yeah. A lot.
Yeah. You always going up in the air. Some just go up a little bit higher than others.
Right.
But everybody going to go up in the air at some point in time. And so the landing is so important, and you just don't know where you're going to land, how you're going to land. And so all that stuff just plays a part, man. So, but I'm grateful. I'm beyond blessed in just a sense to sort of look back at it now and see, really what God has done.
Right. You played in more games straight than I played my whole career, and like I said, you said I lived it, and I can't remember how many years in the NBA did you play, Junior? 16.
Yeah.
I played 14, and there was a point in time, and I'm trying to remember if this was your rookie year or your second year where you had torn ligaments in your thumb.
Yeah.
And you still only missed a game or two or something like that during that span, and were able to come back and play with a cast on, basically. That's where you and Buck start doing that little, every celebration, y'all put the fingers together and twirl them and run off the court. And it was amazing to me because I thought when you tore it, okay, he's going to be out, 4 to 6 weeks like everybody else be talking about. And if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you might have missed a game, maybe 2, and you were back on the court. I mean, again, that's that perseverance that you talk about and that will, determination to play. But just tell me, how was it playing through? Because I know you didn't play 1,192 games healthy.
Right.
There were some games that you played where you wasn't healthy at all.
Right.
And you still were able to push through it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I think that's really where that torn ligament time, for instance, because we just completed the rookie year, and we're going into the second year, so that was preseason. It was our last game in New Mexico, our last game of preseason playing the Suns, and I just got my finger caught up in a jersey and just bent it the opposite way.
Right.
Gary Vitti, our trainer,
Right.
that's what he says. He says, "You dummy, you did it the wrong way."
That sounds like Gary too. The little Tom Selleck we used to call him back there, half pint pink, the Pink Panther, Inspector Clouseau. Yeah, he wouldn't be sympathetic when you got hurt. He never came to you and said, "Oh, you're gonna be all right." He would be just like you said, Junior. So what you do, dummy?
Yeah.
What did you tear this time?
Exactly.
So yeah, Gary Vitti. We definitely got to have Gary on the show.
Please do.
One of the most decorated trainers of all time in any major sports. I think he got 9 championship rings or whatever the case may be. Crazy. So Junior, going back 87, 88. We were able to do something no team had done for almost 20 years, and that's win back-to-back titles. Beat the Celtics, which no Laker team had ever done, so we were able to celebrate that. And then you leave the Lakers after that 6 years, and then you come back in 2000, and you win another championship with a different group.
A different era, man.
A different group, a different era, with Kobe and Shaq, young, aggressive guys.
Right.
I remember, KB when he was a rookie. So tell us how it was to come back from the 87, 88 era in that Showtime era to now a new era in LA with Shaq and Kobe and win another championship.
Yeah, B, that's phenomenal. And when you really think about it, because that bridge, of Showtime to the new millennium, not many cross that bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, most of them start crossing and fall off of somewhere in between.
Right. So not many, that was just, it was special. It really was and has been. But the answer to your question, it sort of still gives me goosebumps, man, when I honestly think about it, because I really think when we in Showtime and me coming in, the new kid on the block, okay? Because I was that guy. Showtime was already formulated,
right?
For the most part. You guys had it rocking and rolling. It was going on in the forum and in the league itself. The hatred was already building up between the beast in the East and the fast group on the West. And so I was just fortunate and blessed enough really to come into that atmosphere. And like you said, you welcomed me greatly, and I appreciate all the food you fed me in my rookie year.
You just knock on the door and just walk in and just go straight to the kitchen, open the refrigerator. What y'all have last night? What you having for dinner tonight? So anything that was in the refrigerator, you just take it out. And of course, my ex-wife would, Junior, I got you. Right. She heated up, and I was like, no, I wanted to eat that tomorrow, and you letting him eat it now. I didn't kind of appreciate that at the time.
A rookie, man. Come on, it was it's that brotherly love, man. I didn't know, I didn't know how to turn a microwave on when I first got there, man. So you got to understand, it was all new, man. But it was, and that was the culture of the family,
yes,
okay, that
yes.
I came into, in that Laker family, that Laker way of life, okay. Dr. Buss, Jerry West, Pat Riley, and it just went on then to the players that really just it just a waterfall trickled down into, this is how we do it here. And so you got to know each other's families, the kids' names. We emphasized the picnics and things like that, and we, bowling, movies and things like that. So that was what I was brought into.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I didn't realize every team didn't do that.
Right.
I didn't realize every organization.
Few teams that did that back in those days.
Exactly. So I didn't, you think that's normal.
Right.
Okay, and then so like you said, you go and now you have that gap away from Laker family, Laker way, Laker tradition, and then you go to that new millennial, and I'm still remembering where I started.
Right.
You know, I remember what and how you guys taught me, took me under your wings, and showed me the ropes on and off the court, and so it was that mentality coming to a new mentality where now you're dealing with teenagers,
Right.
Okay,
Right.
and you're dealing with early teens who are now feeling they already know how to win in this league.
Right.
They are the gift to basketball.
Right.
And you're like, okay, so we are gonna. This is gonna be quite interesting. So I come and I have a very historic Hall of Fame, soon-to-be coach, Phil Jackson. All right, and I have two superstars, Shaq and Kobe. We have, at this time, Robert Horry is on the team, and then John Sally comes in, Ron Harper comes in, two guys who've been there and done that.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I was cool to see them. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, and I'm used to playing against everybody else. D Fish, you know, we always hit it off anyway.
Right.
And so I'm like, we just don't know how. You know, the talent is there.
Right.
And I remember playing them when I was, you know, in Dallas and in Phoenix, and two teams I had played for and cities I played in. And I remember playing against the Lakers, and I'm like, man, they all right. They talented, but they get in their own way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was really the mentality. So it was one of those things that I see why, you know, Coach Jim Clemens, who coached me in Dallas also, and he came with Phil when Phil came. He's like, we need to have AC here because he knows the triangle, but he's also a veteran, a voice, and we know what we're going to get.
Yeah.
And these guys need that. And so I didn't realize all that till he and I had sort of talked a little bit later. And but it was really something special. It really was, because I once again, everything that I had deposited in me, I was trying to convey then to that new generation and really help them understand we're good. You know, and we put off. I think we won like 5-7 games. I'm like, okay, you know, that's good.
Right.
I said, all right, we getting there.
Right.
We getting there.
Right.
Lost a few games, got mad at each other, bickering, fighting, going. I'm like, we ain't there. Now do you understand? We're not there yet.
Right.
And then we ran off a double-digit wins. And so I remember in our team locker room, Phil's having a meeting in a film session, and we got our two superstars not seeing eye to eye. Okay, we got each their little group.
The ones with Shaq, the ones with Kobe.
Yeah, Shaq group, Kobe group, and then us veteran guys who have already won the championships, and we're like in the middle, like we're looking at one another. We're like, you know what we got to do, right? He said, yeah, I know, man. We got to. So next thing you know, we like, coaches, can y'all
lead the room?
Yeah, can y'all lead the room for a minute? And then, you know, so many, let's just say some choice words were exchanged. Some voices got high. Some furniture got moved. But the point got across and the mission got on. And then we went on to another winning streak. And then finally they start to see, hey, this is how you win. Right. And this is how you actually play. And this is how you start to look out after one another. Right. And so it's a crazy story in time, but it was fun. I would not change for anything in the world, bro.
Yeah, you know, I think that Rouse, you know, like you said, kind of spoiled us. And when we went different places, we thought that's just how it was. Right. I know when I went to Indiana under Larry Brown, who's another Hall of Fame great coach, you know, he was always asking me questions about how did you guys play, you know, the pick and roll. How did you come down to double team the post? You know, what did you guys do, if anything, off the court? I was like, oh, LB, man, you don't understand. I mean, it was a family organization. And he started to get it. But what it also did for me, Junior, is it got me prepared when I started to think about going into coaching. Right. That's how I would do with my teams. Right. And I still feel to this day, and I felt this with my New Orleans teams. And you remember my New Orleans teams with David West and Chris Paul, Tyson Chandler, and those guys, Peja Strarkovich, is that I've always said that, you know, if I got great chemistry and good talent, I'm going to win. Right, right. And that's what we had in New Orleans. We had we probably had above, you know, talent, you know, with some of the guys that we had. We had some very talented players, but we had tremendous chemistry. And I took that page from Rao's book.
Yep.
You know, I would throw Easter parties, you know, and bring all the kids and have, you know, the Easter bunny there and have all these Easter hunt, you know, egg hunts and all that stuff. I even had it for the players that I would tell them there's certain eggs out there with money in it. And, you know, these guys are like, what? You know, I was like, wait, you already making $10 million. You looking for an egg that got $5 in it.
Right, exactly.
You know? And they were, and they were like serious, you know, going after it, you know. And they would come back and they crack open the egg and be like, man, it wouldn't be money. It would be a piece of paper that says $5, you know. So they would have to come to me, Coach, I got this paper, you know.
Exactly.
And so I learned that from Rao's, how important chemistry and family was.
Yeah.
And like you said, when we went different places, we saw that not everybody, you know, had that same sentiment of thinking that, you know what, all I got to do is play with him on the basketball court. I ain't got to get to know him off the court.
Right.
But you really do. If you really want to be successful, you really need to know your teammates, their families, coaches, families, you know, the whole organization from top to bottom. And like you said earlier, Dr. Buss was instrumental in putting that into place, and then everybody just kind of fell in place, which I thought was fantastic. That's why to this day, you know, I still bleed purple and gold.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still a Laker no matter
100%.
what. You know, I mean, I went to Indiana, I coached these other I'm a Laker no matter what.
Right.
You know, and I love Jeannie. So, you know,
Absolutely.
you know how we feel about Jeannie.
Yep.
But going back to your streak just for a second.
Sure.
There was a point in time that I thought your streak was going to end when you took an elbow from J.R. Reed, and it was so intentional. I remember watching the highlights, and I was like, Junior, go kill him. Man, go kill. Because I was mad for you. Because I mean, he hit you, and I know he knocked out your front tooth or something, right? And it hit the ground, and you just went and picked it up. You know, I was like, Junior, turn the cheek stuff, man. Man, go knock the hell out of this dude, man. I was like, because I know how he did this on purpose. So, but that you did not miss a game, but my question is, how were you able to be so calm? Because you know when we played back in the day, how were you able to be so calm, go pick up your tooth, and just take it over to the bench, keep playing? Then I know you had to get root canal and all that stuff the next day. How'd you do that? I've been thinking about this for years because I remember watching it, and I'm just like, there's no way in hell that I could have done that. I already know. The tooth would have just been over there because I would have been throwing punches. You know, somebody find that for me if you can, but I'm throwing punches at this dude. How were you able to keep your cool like that? That's number one. And then, obviously, you know, you're going to have to do some major dental work. And you still didn't miss a game. You got to tell me about that.
No, well, two parts on the dental and then just the preparation. So it's funny. That morning, okay, that was a national televised game playing the New York Knicks there in Phoenix. So that morning, you know, I was one who always got up and had my quiet time, you know. So I was, and I remember like yesterday, it's five something in the morning. Okay, game's not till obviously noon, and so I'm like, Lord, this was my prayer, you know. Thank you for this day. Thank you for, you know, everything, you know, that happens, this, that, and the other. Let me be used by you. Give me an opportunity. Give me a chance to really honor you. And I remember saying those words, and I said, okay. So that I said, I'm excited about it. I said, and let this game let me reflect you and inspire many. Inside this game, which was part normal of a prayer, but at the same time, I knew this was national TV also, you know, and so that's what I went into that, and let me have the power and self control that you have blessed me with. Had no idea what was going to happen again, no idea, none. And so the game goes on, and like you said, okay, so that now, and JR my teammates told me he was mad at a couple of my other bigger guys because they had already been wrestling and tussling. So I really was a collateral damage. Okay.
So you were an intended target.
Yeah, I wasn't really that guy, but he probably didn't like me anyway. I don't know, you know, at that time. And so when that happened, I honestly did not think anything about getting them. I didn't think about that till later. No
retaliation whatsoever.
I didn't think about that till later. Okay. Like weeks later. Okay, like we're gonna play them again, huh? Yeah. You know,
I'm gonna get my chance.
Yeah, and literally that's exactly what happened. So when that tooth did come out, and it was a bottom tooth, it came out because I had my mouth guard on top, and so I saw it. I lined up the ball went out of bounds. I lined up for our out of bounds play, and then I felt like a little. I saw one of my teammates went like, and I'm like, and I felt a little stinging going on inside my mouth, and I'm like, you're in the action, you ain't thinking about nothing. So
adrenaline flowing and everything.
B, I did that. I did my tongue swipe left to right, and then went left to right, and then there was a gap. I said, uh-oh. Hold on.
Something missing.
That ain't normal. that ain't right. And I came back the other way. I'm like, that was a mistake. And I went back the other way. Uh-oh. I'm like, and so I looked, and I just looked down, and I saw my tooth. And it was literally, I can reach. I just bent over, grabbed it, and I'm like, my tooth's out. And I grabbed my tooth. I put in my compression short. I rolled it up, put it in my compression shorts, and I lined up for the out of bounds play. And then now the ref, someone, one of the guys said something to the ref, and so the ref, he's looking at me like, you looking at me right now,
right.
And so I turned my head, wiped off the blood over here, and then I started running the play, and with my head turned like this, and he walked on the other side.
Yeah, you want to see that blood too? Yeah, they want to get you out the game.
Says, you got. I'm like, he said, you got to go. And so, sure enough, I went. It was more important for me to find my tooth and get J.R. Reed on that particular day at that time. And literally, we got the tooth, went to the doctor, had work done that night, stabilized it, and then the team left right after the game, went to Utah, played the next night. They saw how I was doing the next morning to make sure everything was good. I'm like, I'm good. Listen, I told them that when I left. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. You know my boy Lee Johnson. Lee Johnson. Okay, Lee was in town that weekend. This was my high school buddy and college roommate and all that. So he happened to be in town from Texas, and he was like already on the court, like trying to get you.
I remember Lee.
Yeah.
Lee wasn't turning another cheek.
No, Lee, like, man, I ain't got no cheeks, man. Let me at him. So he stayed with me to make sure everything was good, and so I wound up playing. So we had a back-to-back. So we played Utah that very next night. We played Utah. So I went in, got in about 2 o'clock that afternoon, flew in on my own, went in the locker room. The guys like, they saw a ghost.
Right.
They're like, you here? I'm like, yeah, let's go. Come on, where my uniform at? And there it is in the locker room. And
so they did have it in the locker room.
Yeah, it was there because I told them.
So you had already warned them that you were coming in.
Yeah, I was like, you better have my uniform ready too. Sure enough, so it was a crazy 24 hours or so, and but I do honestly remember that because it was probably one of the most pivotal times and moments in my life where I really asked to be used by God and do something special, do something miraculous, use me in however you want to use me.
Right.
And that was the way in which he sort of saw fit to
turn the other cheek.
Turn the other cheek and show some amazing grace.
Yeah. So I would have been like, Heavenly Father, I'm going to have to apologize to you because I'm going to knock the hell out of him. I'll get to the room and be like, Father, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Use me tomorrow.
Use me tomorrow, exactly.
Because the day after that, I'm about to kill him.
Oh, being the funny part, man, seriously, because like I said, we were going to play them like 2 weeks down the road. And so we played them a couple. The next time we were coming, and now you got all this time to think about what happened. You heard about what happened. You saw the replay because now you got to talk to the league and infractions committee. Like, okay, what happened? Do you instigate this? Who was the aggressor? Like, who's the aggressor? Look at the tape. Look at that tape. Who got their tooth on the ground running around the stadium? And sure enough, so that next game it was coming, man. And I remember I told my guys, I said, look. I said, who we playing tomorrow, right? They said, yeah. I said, they said, what's up? I said, just check on me. Just check on me. I said, just make sure. I said, I'm not kidding you, man. Before we go out there, I said, I'm good now.
Right.
I said, but I got some thoughts. All right. So I'm just letting you know. I said, so before we go out there on that layup line, I said, you look at me. I'm telling you. Because I know me,
right?
So please just make sure I'm. And they said, all right. I said, and if you see the first time we get anywhere close one, I said just be close, all right? Because I don't want a reaction. Just like
don't know what's gonna happen, but y'all be ready just in case.
I had two or three bodyguards on the court at that time just to protect me from myself.
Right,
that was the crazy thing. I'm like, because I'm just not positive, but everything was fine. Everything worked out. It worked out cool.
Okay, cool. Well, still, JR, I know you're around somewhere. Mr. Reed, I love you, but dog, it'd have been a tussle, bro. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, we'd have been tussling. Junior, you had a medical condition that I didn't even know about, back in the day, where you were only getting a couple hours of sleep, at night. You remember all this as well?
Man, let me tell you something.
Because I'm still finding that amazing, that being able to do that and play at the level that you played at for so many years is still another thing to me that's just boggles my mind. So you want to tell us a little bit about that, though?
That's a lie. That's a lie. I don't know where Wikipedia started all that stuff.
So that is not true.
I don't know where that chronic hiccup stuff came in at, because no, honestly, that's not legit.
Because I remember you sleeping a lot on the plane. So I was like, really? He was only getting 2 hours of sleep and doing all this? So
bro.
Wikipedia just put in stuff like, because there's a couple of things in Wikipedia that I look at, I'll be like, that's not
fact check.
That's not me.
Yeah, fact check, man.
So okay,
no, that was one we could check off the list. Seriously,
we'll check that one off the list. All right. So let's go to 2017. So just 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna skip.
All right.
Because we're gonna leave it at that positive note of those championships.
Yep.
We're gonna even leave J.R. Reed out of this. JR is probably somewhere right now smoking a joint and doing something anyway, just having a good time.
Absolutely.
So 2017 though, you became director of sports of United Basketball in India. How did that come about?
B, it's I had some friends. Well, first of all, in 2008, I was one of our NBA ambassadors. Okay, and so they wanted to open up India as far as one of our new league partners, as well as almost Basketball Beyond Borders kind of a situation.
Yeah, okay.
So I went there. At the time, the league had not done a basketball camp. They hadn't done any leagues or anything like that. So the idea was in 2008, let's go and let's introduce NBA basketball to India. And so we set up within 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks time, we set up a basketball, just a one-day invitational, and had like 2,000 people, 2,000 kids show up in one day. Now we do know they got 1.3 billion people there.
Right,
okay,
right. So you're saying that's still not a lot,
but
that still is a lot.
That
when you
is
talk
a lot.
about basketball camps, 2,000 kids showing up.
Exactly.
That's a lot of kids.
It is, B. And so from that 2008, I went back like 3 other times. Okay, and so each time I'm going back as an ambassador, all ambassador work for the league. But it's ingratiating me in India, and I'm just falling in love with what I'm seeing and the people and just the culture. And so it's really, really super cool from that standpoint. And then what happened was, as we got to this 2017, I didn't know. So a couple guys in Phoenix who were also had a passion just to see basketball in India and then pro basketball. And so they were already doing some minor, small type things, but in leagues over there. And so they needed some help with someone like, hey, can you help us get this message, get this league formulated and get it out there? And then that was the beginning of it all, as far as getting now. It was 6 teams that were going to be playing throughout India on a pro circuit in some of their different cities around. And so I was the director of all the operation in basketball from that standpoint. And last piece of that story, from the NBA standpoint, since then, it's now been it's 144 different teams, over almost 400,000 kids a part of that whole birth from 2008 until. And so I just talked to the U.S. director just last year during the pandemic, and they just gave me some updates on the numbers, because I always like to know what you had a part to help start.
Right.
And so that was it.
Right. When this pandemic, so to speak, is really hopefully leveled out and gets back to somewhat normalcy in the world, I know you probably plan on going back there and seeing the kids and doing another camp and seeing the growth of India as well. So tell us some of the things in India that probably surprised you a little bit.
I think, gosh, one, obviously cricket. I never,
Yeah.
we don't see cricket around here,
right.
okay?
When you first said cricket, I thought about,
You were looking out on the floor.
You said, cricket. I was thinking the little crickets to be, making noise all damn night. Yeah. And then you talk about the game. Oh, that's right. They do have a game over there called cricket. Okay.
Yeah. So knowing how the cricket and just football and just in general, their sports, snookers, just because as we were building the league, we were like competing against, okay, we're trying to get sponsors. Mm-hmm. Now these sponsors, basketball is like 10th on the list.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yes.
So this cricket, snookers, our pool, football, it was another game like
now football being soccer or
soccer version.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So they had these type of things that were already going on. So basically all this other action was going on, and then there was basketball.
Right.
All right. And so I learned from the sports side what their interest was. The entertainment side, they were just right on point. The influencers, who's hot, who's not, the entertainment, the reality shows. And so they were all into that already. And so I'm like, this is westernized more than people really knew and could appreciate. And so I was like, I love this. This is cool. This is like, I can do India. So I'm looking forward to honestly really going back there.
Cool, Junior. I like that. I might have to go back there with you. I want to check it out.
Hey, now.
I want to see cricket. I ain't used to that, so I want to see a little bit about cricket. Now, Junior, you came into the NBA. Very, very well-known fact that born-again Christian. Mm-hmm. And at that particular time wasn't like the most popular thing in the world, obviously. It didn't bother you one bit. You stood your ground. You kept preaching to people about your love and your faith in God and Jesus Christ. Tell me, because I already know, but tell the folks, was that difficult for you, or did the players around the league make it hard? Just kind of give me your opinion on that.
Well, I think it was it was a whole new environment. I mean, it wasn't college. Okay.
That's for sure.
It wasn't college, and so I had to learn that it was, these were grown men.
Right.
Okay, these were grown men with different responsibilities. It wasn't about waking up and going to class. Okay, there was family, there was expectations, there were kids they were raising, grown adult responsibilities.
Right.
And so just the whole dynamics was just, was honestly different. But it didn't really change the fact of who you are and who I was at that time. Just knowing my confidence in, my faith, knowing my relationship with Jesus. And it was one of those things that first year, when we were together, it was so funny, man, because it's like the Holy Spirit, man, just like put a brother in check, as I call it. He's like, just pump the brakes, stop, shut your mouth, don't say a word. And I'm like, but this is happening, that's happening.
Right,
I see this, I want to say that. I mean, and it's like, no, shh. Befriend these guys, get to know them. Mm-hmm. Don't diarrhea of the mouth.
Right.
It's like, no. So let them see me in you and through you.
Right.
And that was one of the most amazing lessons I think I learned, especially those first couple of years, man, where it wasn't so much about say. I mean, I came out of Oregon State with a communications degree, speech, talk.
Right.
But then I'm like, but there is nonverbal communication too. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right. And so I had to incorporate that and just let him just be him from that standpoint. And amazing thing is, people obviously, like you said, you and I, we have the deepest relationship of all the guys because we started before the pros, and it was a college thing for us. And so it's just one of those things that it became, you guys made it real, because the friendship and the bonds that you really wanted, you actually start to see come to fruition. You start to see actually develop and start to take place, and it was so encouraging to see. And so even in talking of, you know, the abstinence and being a virgin, it wasn't like so abstract, like it sounds just like one of those, you hear someone say, I'm a virgin, and normally it's like a punch in the face.
Right.
You know, you're like, what? Huh? You know, and you're an NBA player?
Right.
You know,
Right.
but then all of a sudden it became, you guys made it normal. You guys embraced it. You guys did not, you know, put me out there in right field, you know, and just that kid just out there just picking daisies, like, oh, it's like, we don't know this dude. We, you know, who I don't know who he is and what he's talking about. But it was like one of those things, you accepted me for who and what I was and what I was doing and what I was believing in. And it because neither side was ever trying to be destructive. Right. It was just like being ourselves. Right.
It's funny, Junior, because the year before you came to the Lakers, we had a guy named Swin Nader, and love Swin to death. You know, born again Christian, great guy, but he would come on the bus and he would tell everybody, we got a Bible study meeting here and there, you know, in the lobby, or we got and it would turn guys off, you know, and then you come and you're just quiet and you're just doing your thing. And I remember, like you said, we really gathered around you and said, you know what, you know, he's in LA. We got to keep them damn Jezebels away from AC. We got to do our best to keep him, you know, safe, keep these ladies away from him, you know. And that's true. That's really one of the main reasons that he spent so much time in my house. I was like, man, you come on over for dinner. You know, I don't want you nowhere near the streets. I don't want these women around here trying to, you know. And again, it goes back to that family.
Right.
It goes back to the chemistry that we had and that we developed early. And it was funny because I remember also AC and I would have Bible study in his room or my room. And I had never been baptized at that time. And I remember it was in Dallas. I think we went in our hotel, went down to the pool, and I got baptized in the pool. And came back up. We went out to dinner. You know, we were just like, shoot, I'm good, man. I was like, praise God, I'm good. Let's go get some eat.
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
And then we just keep on doing what we do. So I love the fact that I always felt that we had a hand in making sure that, you know, we were kind of like that halo. We were always making sure that nothing was going to happen to our junior. And, you know, we would be walking around, be seeing girls like, oh, no. I'm telling you, her, no. Junior, stay away from her. You know, so we had your back, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that. You know, that's why we still tight to this day.
Yes, and I greatly appreciate that. Trust me.
And then you accepted the role as godfather.
Yes.
To my daughter, my only daughter, London Brene. We asked AC and Terry Cristiano to be the godparents, and you know, he's been a great godfather, you know, for her now. But she's 34 now. She got her own kids. She. You know, it's like, whatever. Yeah, I know Uncle AC. Yeah. How you doing? He good. But the grandkids are doing fantastic, and she's doing good. So, you know, life is good. But, Junior, you also was inducted to the World Sports Humanitarian Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That had to be a hell of an honor. How'd you feel about that?
Great. Honestly, that it epitomizes really who and what we are, man. I think because it's about what you do. You know, it's about reaching out and who and how you connect with people and how you're able to serve and, you know, represent, you know, Christ in different ways. And it's all that connection, you know, and that's what really it meant to me. It wasn't so much of the X's and O's of what I did on the court. It's what I did off the court. And so that's why it really, really has just been an honor, man. I'm so grateful to God, honestly, in regards to that, because it just really, it's an answer to prayer. Yeah. You know, you want people to know and see him work through you, but how do you know until you get validated? You know, you get confirmation, and that was a form of confirmation for me.
And you might already answered this question because, you know, I was going to say, what drives you to keep giving back to the community? And you kind of answered that. But I also know that Mama Green and Papa Green had a lot to do with that as well. Speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, man. Have they ever? You know, yeah. It's I was raised with two just outstanding, in my opinion, outstanding parents, both out of the South, Oklahoma and Texas. Okay, I'm named AC Green Jr., so you know where the AC comes from. Doesn't stand for anything. And then my mom, also Leola, it's she's out of Oklahoma. And so it's amazing, B, because in how you started this interview and we talked on the podcast here, the fact of the Ironman streak, okay? And so it's my parents' role model, that it's the example that they set before me at the beginning, at that early stage in life, those formative years. I've seen them going to work on a consistent basis, day in and day out, man. You coming in from school, you want to play with both of them, and one's going, one's coming, one's going, one's coming. Then you get them on the weekend, and it's just, you're out. And so as you get older, you're like, a little bit older, you're like, where are you going, mama? Where are you going, dad? I'm going to work. And then the other one was, I'm going to work.
Right.
And another one, I'm going to work. And so your little head is spinning and you're spinning and you're spinning. Then all of a sudden you realize, I don't like work.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
Because it
takes, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It took my parents away, and I didn't like work. Right. I don't like work,
Right.
And lo and behold, fast forward, I get this record for the most work
consecutively, than anybody in the history of the NBA.
Yeah. And so I think of that, and I just like, this in God funny, just how that sort of happens. And that's sure enough what did take place. So so they're great. My father, he did pass away in 2007. Mom is still well, still living in Portland, Oregon, 85 strong. And still running the house, keeping us all in line, 4 kids, and she's still the boss.
I know that. I know that for a fact. Another thing, folks, that you might not know, there were certain times in towns that we would go to, Portland being one of them, where Mama Green would bring food to the hotel, and we would all come after practice, be a big old banquet room, and she's gonna set out fried chicken, candy yams, collard greens, mashed potatoes. You got rolls, cornbread, corn on every time we came to Portland, it was unbelievable. Then we go to Detroit to play the Pistons, and Mama Johnson, Urban Magic Johnson's mom would do the same thing. So we go to Phoenix to play the Suns. My auntie lived in Phoenix. I stayed with her 2 out of the 3 years that I was at Arizona State University.
Wow.
My auntie would cook a feast. So we had certain places that we go to.
Hurting me.
That the families would take. Hey, I'm going to tell you what I would do. We'd be in Portland. I would eat all I could and then fix me a big old plate, take it to the room, and call for room service about 8 o'clock at night. And they said, what do you want to order? I said, I don't want to order nothing. I want you to come up here and get this and put it in the microwave, heat it up, and bring it back to my room. But I will order the apple pie limon. I'll take that. You can just bring that up there. But again, it goes all the way back to, again, as Junior talked about earlier, that family that we had was so special. And I remember talking to Buck, and he was talking to Larry Legend. And Larry Legend told him in their conversations that they don't, he don't talk to any of the old Celtics. He don't talk to McHale. He don't talk. And we're looking at it like, what? Because he's like, I still talk to B. I still see, Junior. I still talk to Coop. I still see Cap, Clever. We had a unique group of guys that did something special in the 80s. And will still go down as one of the greatest teams. Our opinion, we're the greatest team ever. But there's going to be some talk, but we're always going to be in that conversation.
Right.
So last question I have for you, Junior. What's one story that a whole lot of people don't know about that you would like to tell? It might be all the businesses you own, just one story.
And my mind does go toward business, okay, and it does go toward the AC Green Youth Foundation. Yeah, honestly, it goes toward some of the championship battles in which we had the Detroit Piston. That first time we played them when we won in our back-to-back year, and that long pass that Magic threw, and I almost felt like I almost missed the layup that sealed the game, that convincingly sealed the game.
Yes.
But I think the one story I reflect on is when I was a senior in high school at Benson High School back in Portland, Oregon, and I'm highly recruited by the schools in Oregon. Okay.
Oregon State, Oregon.
Yeah, there's only 2 schools.
Oregon State, Oregon.
And one school did not offer me a contract, a scholarship. But so Oregon State had recruited. They were recruiting me pretty heavily, and so I remember they invited me to come down for their big game, of the year. And at this time, they were ranked 20. They were number 1 team in the country, 26 and 0 at this time. And so me being there, the year before they just signed an All-American by the name of Charlie Sitton out of Portland, Oregon, also out of McMillan, Oregon. Okay, and so they just landed the top recruit in the state, which was one of their biggest things, who happened to be an All-American. So here, fast forward a year later, I'm the next guy up. So they're really thinking, okay, we're going to get him. We really want him. We need him. He's going to be the glue to our season. They said, you got to come see the team. You got to come see the team. And so Ralph Miller was the head coach at Oregon State. Jimmy Anderson was the head recruit and assistant coach. So they invite me. Big thing. We're going down that weekend. So there I am at the game. And so they happen to be playing a team out of Arizona, out of Phoenix, and it was actually the Arizona State Sun Devils. Okay, and it was like, I'm excited about this because I didn't know much about the Sun Devils at that time, but I only, you always saw a little bit about Oregon State going on. So you're like, okay, I'm going to see the team play, and I'm interested in that, this might be a good fit. This team's, they're undefeated. They're the number 1 ranked team in the country. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching the warm-ups and Oregon State's doing nice, they're doing layups, because it was a very structured offense. Arizona State, y'all shooting jumpers, y'all up over the rim. It's chest bumping going on. And I'm like, I'm watching Oregon State, but I'm really glued down to Arizona State. I'm like, dang, they got a live layup line. I'm loving this. Like, man, Arizona State. And sure enough, let's see. It was the center, Curtin Emphius, Paul.
It was Alton Lister.
Alton Lister.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Kirk had left. Kirk had left. So it was Sam Williams.
Slam and Sam.
Yep. Johnny Nash. Myself.
Yep.
Lafayette Fat Lever. Paul Williams came off the bench.
Came off the bench. Yeah. Okay. And so I'm like, dang. These brothers can play. and this is like in warm-ups.
Right.
The game hadn't even started. And I'm like, man,
national televised. I remember this.
I'm like, oh my gosh. So everyone's heart is like, Oregon State, orange and black filled out. Everyone knew I was in the building because the Oregon State made sure they knew that. And so now the game goes on, and now it was a disaster. Just nobody had a chance to go get no popcorn. They didn't get no drinks. They didn't get nothing. I mean, 0, because they got slam dunk from the very beginning. It wasn't even a contest. And everybody in that doggone building, 10,000 people, and they were like,
they were so quiet, Junior, in there. I know that national televised game was like, we expected this to be a whole lot closer.
Yes,
you had the number 1 team in the country. I think we were ranked like number 5 or 6. We were up there because we had 1 loss in the Pac-10, and it was to Oregon State at our building.
Oh my
we had 1 loss, so we were going in there with a chip on our shoulder. You come to our building and beat us, so we're going to return the favor. And not only we returned the favor, we did it by blowing them out by like 25 points.
Yes,
and I remember that. I mean, they had a great team.
Yeah.
Steve Johnson was one of the top centers in the country.
Yep.
They had the Bloom brothers already.
Rafford and Bloom. Mark Rafford, Ray Bloom.
Two really good, solid guards. So I remember that game, and we knew that they had. We didn't know it was you, but we got news in our locker room that they had some of the top recruits in Oregon at this game. And we was like, oh, so you want to bring them to a game against us to try to show them that you, okay, we're going to show you. We're going to show you. So I remember that game. Junior, I'm glad you brought that memory. I remember that like now, yesterday.
I felt sorry and pity. Okay. And that was my first, I think, real sign of having compassion, because I'm like, man, Oregon State needs some help.
Yeah. Well, that's why you went there.
That's why I went there. Okay. That's exactly why.
So
I
if we'd have lost by 20, you might have came to ASU,
hey,
right?
It might have been a different story, man. Different role. But yeah, you are the reason why I chose to go to Oregon State. So not many people know that story, but now it's out the bag.
Well, thank you, Junior, because your career ended up turning out pretty damn good anyway. So I'm glad you ended up going to OSU. I went to ASU, and our paths met at the perfect time, and we ended up winning some championships together. I want to thank all the fans out there for joining Off the Dribble with Byron Scott. I want to thank my guests. Please, guys, give him a round of applause. Well, y'all can give him a round of applause, but y'all clap for him when you see this. This is my boy AC Green, Ironman. Again, thank you guys for joining us.
Now can I say something?
Now you can say whatever you want to. Even though they're still rolling.
All right, well, now really, man. Okay, seriously, first of all.